Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. This is Miguel with season 2 of how to combine the DC deck building sets, and this is our 4th deck profile for the season. In this episode we'll be covering what I've done and how I've got to this point. Throughout this series we've been taking cards from different sets, expansions, and crossovers to build themed main decks that still feel balanced and consistent to play. So far we covered ways to combine sets through things like characters, mechanics, keywords, and different play styles depending on what cards are available. Now we can use what we know to enhance standard gameplay. One example would be to change the starting deck. We would have 7 punch cards, 1 vulnerability, 1 snack time, and 1 defend. This gives players access to utility effects earlier in the game without drastically changing the balance of the starting deck. At the start of the game, snack time and defend cards work a lot like vulnerability since they don't provide immediate value. Players are not benefiting from them right away until their effects become relevant later on. This helps balance things out, like giving players access to weakness removal and defense options without putting them too far behind. Another example is to replace the kick stack with the breakthrough stack. This gives players the ability to remove a weakness or vulnerability they control while still providing +2 power. It will also allow for more superpowers in the main deck. A third example would be to have a house rule where players play one location at a time, because thematically it doesn't make much sense to be at multiple places at once. During the game you can play your first location, use its effect, then discard it once you play another location. This helps players clear up table space by preventing too many ongoing cards in front of players. It will still stay balanced since most locations already have effects limited by wording like the first time you play or once per turn. These are some of the ways of changing the game while still using your favorite cards. For the theme of the main deck, we're going to focus on staple cards we've seen often throughout different sets, along with newer cards that work really well with them. For availability, we are pulling from the original set, Heroes Unite, Forever Evil, Teen Titans, Confrontations, Multiverse, Teen Titans Go, Rebirth, Dark Knight's Metal, Injustice, Rivals 1, 2, and 3, Crisis 1 through 4, and Crossover Pack 1 through 9. For consistency, we'll have the main deck at 130 with 30 heroes, villains, equipment, and superpowers with 10 locations. And now the deck profile. For heroes at cost 2, we have doubles of Katana. Katana is our standard low-cost defense that can be bought in the early game when you cannot afford to buy a breakthrough. At cost 3, we have doubles of Raven, Dr. Light, Aquaman, and Cyborg. Raven can serve dual purposes in providing power and draw support. Dr. Light is an attack against locations and can draw consistently. Aquaman supports superpower builds by recovering a superpower with cost 4 or less. Cyborg recovers an equipment with cost 4 or less, which fits into any heavy equipment build. At cost 4, we have doubles of Amanda Waller, Stargirl, Blue Devil, Jessica Cruz, and Simon Baz. Amanda Waller can either give you +2 power or destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. If you destroy a villain, she can generate even more power. Stargirl is a defense card that can put a card from the destroyed pile on the bottom of the main deck as a way to prevent it from emptying. Blue Devil can stack your deck with a card from your discard pile while defending as a way to set up future turns. Jessica Cruz can cycle through your deck quickly to find cards you want to draw into at the cost of discarding one. Simon Bass can thin out your deck or provide draw support. At cost 5, we have a single copy of The Fastest Man Alive, Nightwing, Thomas Wayne Batman, and The Question. The Fastest Man Alive is your standard draw 2 cards in order to cycle through your deck quickly in search of better cards. Nightwing provides draw support in equipment builds and gets more accurate draws if you keep revealing equipment. Thomas Wayne Batman serves dual purposes in providing power and draw support at the cost of destroying himself. The Question has the effect +2 power. Reveal the top card of the main deck and add it to the lineup. If there are 4 or more different types among the lineup, draw a card. The Question can scout the main deck, giving you more buy options, and can draw a card since it also counts subtypes like Metal, Unity, and Construct. At cost 6, we have singles of Dr. Fate, Kyle Rayner, Jay Garrick, and John Paul Valley Batman. Dr. Fate can set up future turns by putting cards you buy or gain on top of your deck. Kyle Rayner is your standard draw 2 cards plus can attack to dish out weakness cards. Jay Garrett is your reveal to defend card that can discard itself to gain a valuable card from the lineup. John Paul Valley has the effect +3 power, an additional +2 power for each Batman and Dark Knight in your discard pile and the destroyed pile. John Paul Valley can give you a huge boost in power if you also own Batman or keep track of him in the destroyed pile. At cost 7, we have a single copy of Princess Diana of the Mascara. Princess Diana of the Mascara is a great card throughout the game because it can gain villains without using the power generated for the turn, letting you buy other cards. At cost 8, we have a single copy of Man of Steel. Man of Steel can help you catch up or take the lead because he can recover every single superpower from your discard pile, especially in heavy superpower builds. For villains, at cost 2, we have doubles of Zookeeper. Zookeeper is a low-cost ongoing defense that can be bought in the early game when you cannot afford to buy a breakthrough. At cost 3, we have doubles of Jervis Tetch, Blackfire Thorn, Black Manta, and Dr. Destiny. Jervis Tetch can cycle through your deck by discarding or destroying the top card of your deck, especially in the early game where you mostly have starters. He can be combined with Mind Control Hat in order to play all heroes and villains in the lineup. Blackfire Thorn supports superpower builds by helping you get rid of undesirable cards. Black Manta supports equipment builds by thinning out your deck. Dr. Destiny is a great defense that can help you set up future plays by putting a card you want to save for next turn. At cost 4, we have doubles of Clayface, The Blight, Phobia, Deathstroke, Killer Frost, and a single copy of Count Vertigo. Clayface can copy effects of cards you have played alongside him as a way to maximize your turn. The Blight can can give you either +2 power or destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. If you destroy a superpower, it can generate even more power. Phobia can attack and make foes discard a card into any player's discard pile that did not avoid the attack or the attacker. This means that players can pile up on a single player. Deathstroke is a reliable defense card that can also remove weaknesses or other unwanted cards from your hand. Killer Frost is here as an attack against locations and can draw a card if no foes discard one. Count Vertigo has the effect +2 power. If you own this card, you may destroy it. If you do, each foe discards a random card. Play each of the discarded cards and then return them. Count Vertigo can extend your gameplay by letting you play up to 3 other cards for the turn at the cost of destroying him. At cost 5, we have doubles of Scarecrow and Mammoth. Scarecrow is a standard attack that can dish out weakness cards to each foe in order to clog their decks with undesirable cards. Mammoth is a great defense card because when you discard to defend, he can draw 2 cards first and then destroy a starter from your hand or discard pile. This means that you can always wait to see if you draw a starter if you don't have one in your discard pile. At cost 6, we have a single copy of Despero, Jinx, and Catman. Despero is a staple card that can draw 2 and attack to make a player discard a card with cost 1 or greater. Jinx is a standard +1 power and draw a card plus attack that can discard foes' ongoing cards. Catman has the effect draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards. Once during this turn, if you control 6 different villains, including this one, defeat a supervillain or superhero. Catman provides a fast way to cycle through your deck in order to support villain-heavy decks. He can take out the current Nemesis card in order to use your power to buy other cards from the lineup. At cost 7, we have a single copy of Bizarro and Lobo. Bizarro supports players with a weakness-heavy deck, serving as an endgame card to turn the negative VPs into positive VPs when counting victory points. Lobo is a standard destroy card that can thin out your deck out of 2 undesirable cards. For equipment, at cost 2, we have doubles of Lasso of Truth and Eskrima Sticks. Lasso of Truth is another standard low-cost defense that can be bought in the early game when you cannot afford to buy a breakthrough. Eskrima Sticks supports cost 3 or lower equipment builds since it can recover an equipment from your discard pile to reuse. At cost 3, we have doubles of Helmet of Fate, Detonator, and Batmobile. Helmet of Fate can mulligan undesirable cards when defending, making you draw a card for each one discarded minus itself. Detonator is an ongoing card with a delayed effect to destroy a card from your discard pile. Batmobile can mulligan your hand if it was the first card you have played, as a way to draw into better hands. At cost 4, we have doubles of Skeets, Secret Society Communicator, Dead King Scepter, Giant Mallet, and Batarang. Skeet supports hero builds by recovering a hero and places him on top of your deck or into your hand when defending. Secret Society Communicator can either give you +2 power or destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. If you destroy a hero, it can generate even more power. Dead King Scepter attacks locations while providing a standard boost in power. Giant Mallet provides generic support in drawing, and in the mid to late game, it can start destroying undesirable cards. Batarang is a standard defense card that can also provide +1 power and draw a card. At cost 5, we have doubles of Cosmic Staff and Kryptonite. Cosmic Staff is a defense card which can discard itself to avoid an attack and gains the bottom card of the main deck. This works in conjunction with Stargirl because she can set up specific cards from the destroyed pile you want to gain with the Cosmic Staff. Kryptonite is a well-designed attack that can give out weaknesses without completely overwhelming players already loaded with them, as long as they discard one from their hand. At cost 6, we have 2 copies of Broadsword and Green Lantern Power Battery. Broadsword is a standard attack card that can target and destroy players' cost 1, 2, 3 cards from their discard piles. Green Lantern Power Battery can set up future plays by recovering a defense card and putting it on top of your deck or into your hand. At cost 7, we have singles of Mind Control Hat and Power Battery. Mind Control Hat has the standard draw 2 cards plus attack that can discard a random card from each foe. It can also be combined with Jervis Tetch in order to play all heroes and villains from the lineup. Power Battery provides draw support in decks with 2 or less card types and gets more draws if you keep revealing one card type. For superpowers, at cost 2, we have doubles of Flight. Flight is another low-cost defense that can recover any card and place it on top of your deck when defending. At cost 3, we have doubles of X-Ray Vision, Telepathy, Speed Force, and Phasing. X-Ray Vision gives a player access to the top of the foe's deck in order to play a non-location card from any deck. Telepathy can cycle through your deck consistently at the cost of discarding a card. Speed Force is an excellent early game card because it can recover multiple punches for extra power. In the mid to late game, it can also recover weaknesses you want to destroy with other card effects. Phasing can thin out your deck when both played and when you defend. At cost 4, we have doubles of Canary Cry, Super Intellect, Energy Absorption, Geokinesis, and Mystic Control. Canary Cry supports villain builds by recovering a villain and places them on top of your deck or into your hand when defending. Super Intellect can either give you +2 power or destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. If you destroy an equipment, it can generate even more power. Energy Absorption is a standard card that lets you draw a card and optionally destroy a card in your hand. Geokinesis is an attack against locations while providing a standard boost in power. Mystic Control can scout foes' top card and discard any cards you don't want them to use with his attack. At cost 5, we have doubles of Tegroth and Construct Missiles. Tegroth is a standard attack that can reduce foes' hand by 1 and can be combined with Mystic Control since foes might save a card for future plays. Construct Missiles is a standard destroy card that can also provide +2 power. At cost 6, we have singles of Mystic Bolts, Possession, and World's Greatest Detective. Mystic Bolts lets you recover up to 2 cards with cost 5 or less with different costs from your discard pile to reuse previous effects. Possession forces foes to reveal their hands and can turn their own attacks against them. World's Greatest Detective is a standard reveal to defend card that gives +1 power and draws a card when played. At cost 7, we have singles of Speed Force, Impervious, and Willpower. Speed Force is the lucrative card of the main deck with its effect of +2 power and draw 2 cards with no consequences. Impervious is a great reveal to defend card because it can get rid of multiple undesirable cards, especially weaknesses, in one turn. Willpower is another strong reveal to defend card because it can cycle through your deck repeatedly, helping you discard undesirable cards before they ruin your turn. For locations, at cost 4, we have a single copy of House of Mystery and The Rot. House of Mystery provides draw support in cost 5 or greater heavy decks. The Rot is a draw engine for weakness cards as a way to make them useful for the turn, but be careful when drawing into multiple weaknesses. At cost 5, we have a single copy of Titan's Tower, The Deep, Oblivion Bar, Tomb of Half-Set, New York City, and Central City PD. Titan's Tower is a draw engine for cost 2 or 3 heavy decks. The Deep can recover cards from your discard pile dependent on the card's cost you discard for the effect. Oblivion Bar is an ongoing defense that can stop multiple attacks, but be sure you pair it with draw cards to refill your hand after the fact. Tomb of Half-Set provides a mulligan engine to discard your hand and refill it with possibly better cards each turn. New York City provides buy access to cards from the destroyed pile at the cost of destroying the top card of the main deck. Central City PD provides access to the top of the main deck and can reduce the cost of the card by 1 if you add the top card to the lineup. At cost 6, we have a single copy of Monument Point and Mogo. Monument Point is a draw engine if you plan to keep your punch cards throughout the game. Mogo can cycle through your deck when attacked as a way to dig into your deck for better cards. For promo supervillains and superheroes, we have Red Hood, Felix Faust, King Shark, Reverse Flash, Raven, Hawk Girl, Starfire, Birds of Prey, Beast Boy, Zatanna, Peacemaker, and Vigilante. For promo oversized characters, we have Black Lightning, Vixen, the Joker, Skitter, White Lantern Sinestro, Cyclone, the Batman Who Laughs, Lobo, Solomon Grundy, Supergirl, Jessica Cruz, Crypto, another Supergirl, General Zod, Brainiac, Vigilante, Peacemaker, and the Kickstarter backer. In closing, that's just one way to combine the DC deck building sets. Remember, there's no single correct way to build your main deck. These videos are here to inspire ideas and start conversations. What would you change? What other characters should they turn into promo cards? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all the YouTube things. I'll see you on the next one.